Hey, it's Adam, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you a very clear and vivid description of what is your true nature. In this video, I'm going to be explaining what is the observer. Who is this experience happening to? I'm going to be explaining that very clearly here in this video. So yesterday I received a question in a YouTube comment about someone was asking, Adam, I hear you talking about the observer and I hear spiritual teachers telling me to detach from my experience and to just observe my thoughts with detachment. But he asked, what actually is the observer? Now, this is an awesome question, and it's also a very nuanced question and requires an open mind for you to actually understand. Because a lot of the things that I'm going to be saying in this video are going to sound paradoxical or they're going to sound crazy because this is a very, very advanced spirituality topic. So I'm going to be explaining it very simply, but the trick is that you're going to have to be able to, first of all, have an open mind. And the second of all, you're going to have to embrace the idea that reality is naturally paradoxical. And it has to be this way, which I'm going to be explaining more in this video. So, what is the observer? Now, first of all, I want to give you a direct experience of what the observer actually is, because the observer is the thing that is always present in the present moment. In every single present moment, there is the observer. You are here in every single present moment. That is what makes the present moment the present moment. The fact that you are here to experience it. So I'm going to give you a little direct experience of that right now. So I want you to ground yourself in the present moment and put your attention on that thing that you think that this experience is happening to. So ask yourself the question, who is this experience happening to? That thing is right here. That's the observer. Now, if you can be aware of the observer, so if, let's say I ask, who is this experience happening to? And then I have an answer, but the answer is in the form of a thought, or the answer is in the form of an idea or a concept. So for example, oh, I'm Adam. Adam is an idea, it's a concept. So who is the one that is aware of that answer? So ask yourself, who is aware of this present moment? You're going to get an answer. And then notice who is aware of that answer. That is your true nature. Now, I'm going to be giving you a theoretical description of that thing, that awareness. I'm going to be explaining what it actually is right here. So first of all, in order for me to explain what awareness or what the observer is, I have to tell you what the observer isn't, because it is actually impossible for me to tell you what the observer is, because I can only describe the observer in terms of what it isn't. So, the observer is not your body, it is not your mind, it is not even your awareness, it is not your spirit, it is not nothingness, it is not somethingness, it is not infinity, it is not finity. It is not anything. So literally, any idea, any word that I can use to describe your true nature, you are not that. The reason why is because what you actually are is pure, actual nothingness. Not the idea of nothingness, because the idea of nothingness excludes the idea of somethingness. So the only way that you can understand what nothingness is by comparing it against all the other things that are not nothingness. So when you think of nothingness, you probably think of just blackness, or you think of an empty space or something like that. But true nothingness isn't even that. It actually has no qualities at all, and it doesn't even have the quality of having no qualities. Are you with me here? So that is what you aren't. You are not any finite thing. And you're not even that description that I just gave you. So let me drink some water, because talking about this nothingness makes me thirsty. Okay. Now I need to talk about duality. This is how your mind constructs the world. So the world that you live in, the current thing that you call reality, isn't actually real in the way that you think it is. So you think that the world exists independent of you. You think that the world exists outside of you. You think that out there's trees, there's houses, there's cars, there's birds, there's roads, there's other people. And you think that all of these finite things, all of these objects actually exist in some type of three-dimensional world that is separate from you, that's outside of you. And you tell yourself that you had no part in creating any of these things. So when you look at a tree, you are telling yourself that this tree exists and that I didn't create it, but it actually exists outside of me. It has tangible reality separate from the observer. Now, if you investigate your present experience more closely, you will find that actually, in truth, the observer, or you play a key role in constructing your reality. The mind actually creates reality by making distinctions. So in order for you to know what a tree is, you also have to know everything that a tree isn't. That's how you create reality, through dualistic opposites. So in order for you to know what up is, you have to know what down is. In order for you to understand hot, you have to understand cold. So the way your mind creates reality is by looking at an object and categorizing it, and also comparing it against all of the things that the object is not. So when I show you this pen, the reason why you know that this is a pen is because it has a particular form and it has a particular shape, and that it doesn't look like a tree, and it doesn't look like a pillow, and it doesn't look like a glass of water. So that's how the mind creates reality. But it's important to understand that these distinctions that you have made, these categories, exist only in your mind. And it isn't a given. It isn't an ontological given that a tree is a tree, and that a book is a book, and that a piece of paper is a piece of paper. That distinction you have created. Now, this idea is very challenging for people because, again, what I'm going to be speaking about is your true nature. So what that means is that everything that you thought to be true is actually false. And that's scary. So just notice if you have any reactions to what I'm saying. That's okay. Just be aware of that and just keep listening. So the mind actually constructs reality. And interestingly enough, quantum mechanics, so science, has actually literally proved this to be the case. If you study the dialogues of many of the founding fathers of quantum mechanics, so Schrödinger, Bohr, Einstein, Heisenberg, all of those guys, their dialogues actually point to what I'm saying here in this video. That the observer and the object that is being observed are actually intertwined, and that the observer actually plays a part in creating reality. So the point I'm trying to make here is that your mind literally creates reality by making distinctions. And these distinctions aren't an actual tangible fact, but these distinctions are something that you've made up. So this is how I like to think about it. So imagine that you're dreaming. Let's say you're having a dream and you're in a forest in your dream. And in your dream, you're looking at the trees, you're looking at the frogs, maybe you have a friend with you, you're looking at the grass, you're looking at the bushes, maybe there's a river. So you're listening to the sounds of the birds chirping. So you're in a beautiful, relaxing forest in your dream. Now, what is happening is that your mind is labeling all of these objects. So you see a tree and your mind goes tree. And then you see a frog and your mind goes frog. And you see a bear and your mind goes bear. So you're actually labeling these objects. But notice that in the dream, all of these objects are just being created by your mind. And actually, in truth, they're all made of the same substance. They're all made of just pure consciousness, pure imagination. And you think it's real. So in your dream, you don't actually know that you're having a dream. If you're in the forest, you think, oh shit, this is a real forest. That's a real tree. These are real frogs. That's a real bear. But you're not conscious that your mind is creating the whole thing. Now, a dream is just one state of consciousness. But the waking state is also a state of consciousness, meaning that this quality that the mind has to label reality, that still exists in the waking state. So the waking state is actually just another form of dream, a more dense and solid seeming form of dream. But at the end of the day, it's just made of pure consciousness, pure mind. So if you were to look at reality with no labels at all, then reality would actually cease to be reality and it would look completely different. So if you can see a tree without labeling it as tree, reality itself actually changes. Because there is no physical reality that's separate from you, but what reality truly is your idea of it. So if I don't know what a tree is, and I remove that label from my mind, trees cease to exist. Not in the sense that the actual form of the tree is going to poof disappear, but I'm no longer going to see it. I'm no longer going to make that distinction. And that's very profound. And the reason why we're talking about this is because I need you to understand that your mind plays a key role in constructing reality through dualistic opposites. Okay. So now the reason why I spent so long talking about this is because for me to answer the question, what is the observer? Notice how even that question has metaphysical assumptions attached to it. So when you ask, what is the observer? You are assuming that the observer is a real thing. And that in order for you to understand what the observer is, your mind has to compare it against what the observer isn't. So you've made a dualistic category between observer and observed. So when I say witness your experience, there is a dualism that is created. So there's a separation created between the witness and the experience that is being witnessed. Now, your true nature is non-dual. This is what non-duality means. This is the highest spiritual teaching. So your true nature actually doesn't have any opposite. There is nothing that you are not. So you actually can't hold an idea of what you are in your mind, because the mind only works through dualistic opposites. But what you are has no opposite. It has no duality. It is pure non-duality. Now, I'm going to get into this more, but what thing has no opposite? And that thing would have to be absolute infinity. It would have to be infinity, meaning every possible thing ever, and also its negation. So what you truly are is infinite potential, meaning that every possible thing that could possibly exist, that's what you are, and you're also not that at the same time. So you are every possible thing plus its negation. So you are this pen, but you're also not this pen. You are this cup, but you're also not this cup. So this is getting very deep. I'm going to use an analogy now to explain what this actually means. So what you actually are is just empty space. Now, empty space, when I say that word, your mind imagines it to have qualities of empty space. So this cup right now is empty. I'm out of water. So you're imagining that emptiness has qualities of emptiness. But actually, true emptiness that is beyond the mind, but actual emptiness in your experience has no qualities whatsoever. So you can't even think about it. You can only be it. And that's exactly what you are right now. So pure formlessness, since it has no qualities at all, it also must have every possible quality, because formlessness or emptiness is unlimited. There's nothing to limit it. So imagine pure nothingness. How could you contain or limit or limit nothingness? You can't limit nothingness because it is everywhere. It actually permeates everything. So actual pure nothingness has no limit. It is unlimited. But it is so unlimited that it is not even unlimited. It is free to impose upon itself any possible limitation. So in order for you to be truly unlimited, you need to also have the power to limit yourself. And that's exactly what is happening right now. So this pure nothingness is also known as God. It's also known as the Godhead. It's known as the self, pure void. This thing is what you are, but you as unlimited God have limited yourself to this one particular form. This form of Adam, and this form has a body, this form has a mind, and it has all these finite, limited ideas. Now, this is crazy. So this is a great analogy that I got from actualize.org from Leo, and this is a phenomenal analogy. So imagine a circle that has infinite diameter. So imagine you can draw a 2D circle on a piece of paper, and its diameter, meaning its space between one side to the other, its diameter is infinite. Can you imagine how that circle would look? So since its diameter is infinite, that means that it actually has no edge, because wherever you draw the edge, that's not infinity. So the edge actually keeps expanding out permanently. There is no stopping the edge of this circle. So you actually can't draw its edge. So if I were to draw this circle on a piece of paper, it would just look like pure white. So that is what a circle with infinite diameter looks like. It looks like basically nothing. So now imagine a circle that has 0 diameter. So its diameter, its space between one side and the other is 0. How would that circle look? Now that circle basically doesn't even exist. It would still look like white on the paper. So what this proves is that infinity looks exactly the same as nothingness. So when I tell you that your true nature is nothingness, or your true nature is emptiness, proper nothingness, actual nothingness, actually looks like somethingness. Because in this moment right here, that nothingness actually permeates every possible form. So when you look at this pen, yes, this pen has particular colors, it has particular qualities, right? But also at the same time, it has no qualities at all. And it's actually just made of pure consciousness. It's made of nothingness, as if this is a dream. It has no tangible reality that's separate from you. It's literally made of your mind. It's made of you. It's made of awareness. It's made of nothingness. That's its substance. And then pure nothingness actually can take the form of a limited thing. But if you have enough awareness, you will see that every limited thing is actually a manifestation of unlimited nothingness. So I hope you're following along here. I'm trying to explain as clearly as possible. Now, this brings me to the yin-yang. So here I think I'm going to put up an image of the yin-yang. So the yin-yang is a symbol from Taoism. I think it's from Taoism. And it represents duality. So you have the white side. It's a circle. You have the white side and then you have the black side. And then there's a dot from each side in between each there's a dot in the black of white and there's a dot in the white of black. So this actually represents form and formlessness. And it is showing the interwoven nature of them and that they actually can't be separated from each other. Because the white doesn't exist unless the black is there. And the black doesn't exist unless the white is there. They're actually two sides of the same coin. So formlessness, you can imagine as the observer. And then form, you can imagine as the object that is being observed. So your awareness, your true nature, let's just say, is emptiness. It's formlessness. And then the object that you're observing is form. That's thing. That's thingness. Now, this separation between the observer and the observed thing doesn't actually exist, because there is no observed thing without the observer, and there is no observer without something for the observer to observe. Hope you're following with what I'm saying here. So literally what that means is that this pen here isn't actually being observed by a separate entity, but this pen is self-illuminated, meaning that it is observing itself. This pen is literally me, because what I am is nothingness. And this pen is the same nothingness as my body, as my thoughts, as my words, as this cup. It's the same substance, the same nothingness. Consciousness, awareness, it's just different words describing the same substance, which is actually a substanceless substance. That's why it is free to take any possible form. So here, I have basically described non-duality. So non-duality isn't formlessness, but it is actually the union of form and formlessness together. Because each form is permeated with nothingness. And pure nothingness actually manifests itself spontaneously as form. So your true nature is actually prior to form and formlessness. It is the ground from which both form and formlessness spring forth from. It's like the invisible womb of creation. And yes, this sounds all philosophical and this sounds all theoretical, but this, what I'm speaking about, can be verified for you in your direct experience by doing spiritual practices such as self-inquiry, which I have videos about, where you're actually observing formlessness by practicing meditation, by doing psychedelics, and also by listening to more of these videos. This helps you build a good metaphysical infrastructure in your mind. And this infrastructure will help you glimpse this truth of non-duality for yourself. What I just explained in this video is what every single spiritual teaching is pointing to. And the only reason why they seem different is because they're just using different pointers. They're pointing from different angles, from different periods of time, from different cultural backgrounds. Now, I'll leave you with a quote from Lao Tzu. If you want to know more about this, read this book, God is Nothingness. This is a very precise and is a very clear description of non-duality. So this is by Andre Dosham Hala. So thank you for writing a description of all of reality, Mr. Andre. And I would just like to leave you with one quote. This is by Lao Tzu. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. Nothing. And yeah, it even says here, God is nothingness. Christ is nothingness. Buddha is nothingness. The Tao is nothingness. Brahman is nothingness. The Absolute is nothingness. So this is actually a very beautiful book that will expand on what I said here in this video. I hope you like this video. Check out this recommended video here for practices that will help you actualize this in your experience. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.